There's a beautiful bird. I've been enjoying seeing all of them. I hope it stays there on top of it. Oh, it just moved. So sorry. It's that long-tailed paradise wider. Beautiful. Cyan, tips on learning the bird calls. Now, it is difficult. It takes a long time. But I find, so how I started learning. Don't forget, we used to get this bird. Remember the VHS tapes, video machines. We'd get a video of. Sorry, I just want to move off to the side because there's a vehicle coming across here. Just move out of their way so they can drive past. So I used to watch these videos, and what they would do is they would show the bird, and then usually the call with it, and then later you could buy a CD, and the CD would where you could play the calls constantly. Excuse me, let me just say good morning quickly. Good morning, everyone. How are you? How's it going? Good. I'm not sure. Yeah, we haven't found them this morning yet. I think maybe they went north. Yes, yeah. All right, have a great morning. Ciao. Thank you. So as I was saying, we've got CDs that I used to listen to, and those bird calls, it just helps trying to memorize the sound. But I used to laugh. And the guy whose voice was responsible for giving us the names of the bird call, he didn't sound very enthusiastic, and it would be like I don't know, he'd say 2, 1, 2 brown snake eagle, and it would sound very boring, and then you got this shriek of a brown snake eagle. This is so funny. It was really, really entertaining. So we used to laugh at this, and it just keep going. 2, 1, 3. Natal Franklin. We used to laugh at those, but that's how you start learning. That's nowadays you've got the youth of today are so fortunate. The young guides of this world, they can have a bird app on their phone, their calls, their pictures, it's all the information. But I still maintain, keep a book with you. Keep a book with you, a bird book, because it's easier, especially if you're starting out. It's easier to look up in a book what the bird is, not an app. If you've got an app, if you're not sure where to look, I think you're going to get a bit lost. I do still maintain, and also when you've got guests, it's nice to pass the book back, let them look, rather than show on a little. So for any guide, something that... Oh, am I plugged in? I am plugged in now. So for any guide starting out, I think, or when you are guiding, it doesn't matter starting out or if you've been a guide for a long time, a bird book and a mammal book, I find, is completely necessary. You should always carry those two around with you. Maybe even a tracking book, which I think is important. Okay, now Tristan is about an hour away from leave, so I'm sure he's very excited. Let's go across to Tristan now and see where he is.
Well, I am excited to be going on leave at some point, but unfortunately, our Leopard crossed south into Little Gowrie, so we got its tracks coming out onto Gowrie Main and then southwards into Little Gowrie itself. So it's not ideal, but what I'm hoping is, because it's kind of coming in a south southwest or easterly direction, maybe Chitwa Dam Wall will be a good place to check. So we're going to go just behind the dam wall, and then we'll come up and around. But the idea is that, hopefully one of these leopards is here. Which leopard this is, I have absolutely no idea, because they kind of come in a big loop. So they've come from Chitwa side round and down, and so maybe it's Hosanna, maybe it's Tingana, maybe it's Tamba. They all got similar feet, although these look, I never know. I'm just kind of been tracking my feet and taking my feet up. They really are. But we'll see. I don't know if Sorry, Faith, you completely just give me 2 seconds. Problem. So hold on 2 seconds for you for me. So apparently I've got a few little technical problems, so while I try and carry on down the cut line, let's send you back across to Byron and see whether he's going to get some luck this morning.
Yeah. I found a beautiful is it a European? No, it's a lilac-breasted roller. I do apologize. Gee, I just saw a little bit of blue. Lilac-breasted roller.
Oh, man. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Fergus is I think going to throw the camera around fairly.
Different camera today.
Using a different camera today for some reason. It's not cooperating.
Same again. Been set up by an idiot.
All right, folks, it's okay. It's okay. So you got to be very cautious. I think when driving around, sometimes the vehicles, the cameras, and the cameramen can sometimes be a bit temperamental. So we've got to try to keep them all very calm, so nothing goes wrong. This camera seems to be playing up a bit this morning. Now, we need to try to find a herd of elephant, I think. And then Tristan and Ali leave today, which is sad. So they're going on leave, and we'll wish them a safe journey. I hope they have a wonderful leave, but they will be missed. Now, Kat, you're asking what acreage is needed to support an elephant. I don't know what the exact number is. I think it's so variable. I think it because it depends on the type of food, depends on the time of year. There's too many factors that need to be taken into consideration, Kat. I cannot give you an answer. I mean, I think it would be impossible. So now, at the moment, summer, there's so much water and lush vegetation around. You probably need less than a hectare. There's a beautiful. It was a beautiful bird. It looked like a lesser grey shrike. It was perched, but it flew off as I stopped. So, Kat, I think it would be very, very difficult, very, very difficult to say exactly what size an area is needed to support elephant. I mean, the Kruger Park, the Greater Kruger, where we are at the moment, is about 3.2 million hectares. So that's roughly around 7 million acres of land, of open game reserve. That's what it is. It's roughly around about there. There are portions of the northern Kruger where they can extend a bit into Mozambique and also into Zimbabwe, but it's about roughly, give or take, with a few add-ons here and there, private reserves that have opened their fences, dropped the fences between them and Kruger, just like the Sabi Sands. So, no, it's a massive, massive area. Cecilia, I think it's not impossible to sometimes smell the animals before you spot them. Sorry, just take my jacket off there. Sometimes you could smell, for example, a leopard that's scent marked. You can smell the urine. It's very strong, and we joke about it a little bit, but it's true. I didn't smell it first, but I can see an elephant. It's just hiding. Sorry, folks. It's hiding. I do apologize, everyone. We seem to be having some issues with... now I can hear the elephant. And there's one there, and I think there's a few more behind us. We'll see if we can find them, but let's see. So, Cecilia, you can definitely smell animals before you see them, and from time to time, especially animals like elephant, buffalo, like I said, maybe a leopard that's scent marked somewhere. Wild dog. The wild dog have such a strong stench. Now I can actually smell the elephant. I'm just going to reposition quickly. Thanks, that one disappearing there. Let's have a look. There we go. There's another one that I heard. How's that? And I just said we need to find some elephant. There's a whole herd. Oh, is this that little baby? I think so. I think so. Is this the same herd I think we found the other day with that little one? Wonderful, and it's busy suckling at the moment. And I was just saying, wouldn't it be nice to find a herd of elephant? Well, that's always wonderful when the bush cooperates and gives you what you ask for. It doesn't always happen. I can hear them communicating with each other there. Very peaceful. Just listening to the sounds of these elephants, and look at that youngster busy drinking. Wonderful. Now, if we're lucky, they're going to walk right in front of us. Look at that little one, so cute. Folks, I'm going to just drive behind this termite line, or past it rather. I don't want to startle them. Sorry, folks, I'm stopping here. And I'm going to keep my voice quite low. I don't want to startle them, as I said, or disturb them, but they're very relaxed at the moment. Looking for fruit, obviously, from the marula trees. And this is Grumpy. I don't know if elephants ever use echolocation, like dolphins do. I don't think so. However, I've read bits and pieces of the elephant communication, and those, we get to hear those low frequency vocalizations, which occasionally people referred to as a stomach grumble. Now, it's not the stomach at all. It comes from the voice box. It's a vocalization, but it sounds like that kind of sound. Now, those can apparently be heard from quite a distance away. And they pick up on the vibrations in their feet too, with some of those vocalizations, those sounds. So it's not quite echolocation, but I think they do pick up on vibrations when they're communicating with each other. Okay, I'm going to spend some time with these elephants. Let's go to Tristan, who's got some feathered friends he'd like to show you.
No, unfortunately not. Our feather friend flew away already. We did have an African harrier hawk that was sitting very so elegantly above us, but decided to fly. Now, there's a whole bunch of vultures here. I wonder what they're doing here. All kind of fanning their wings a little bit. Maybe it's just drying off, waiting for the thermals to come up. But they're all sitting in a dead tree close by, so we'll try and go and have a little look there. I wonder why. They don't often sit in this tree though, but it's all whitebacks, which is pretty kind of par for the course. They do often sit together in dead trees, and so it's not uncommon to see a whiteback vulture there. If we had whitebacks and hoodeds together, then I would say there's probably something dead, but just the whitebacks alone like that is not necessarily an indication of anything dead. Could also be what we've got is the two adults with the chick that often nest behind us. So they nest on the road that we've just come from, and so I wouldn't be surprised if that's who it is, but they'll be almost ready to start taking off and moving. Now I can hear some guinea fowl alarm calling. Let's go quickly just have a little look at what's going on there. There's some guinea fowl alarm calling just off from the vultures, so maybe these vultures are here for a reason. Who knows? Let's go and have a little quick check. We're behind Chitwa Dam wall, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's some sort of predator here. Please be Hosana. I want to see Hosana before I go and leave. Or Tamba, actually, one of the two boys. They could be alarm calling because of the African harrier hawk that's been flying around, but I'm not sure. Whoopsie, we've scattered all of the vultures, unfortunately. There's a whole bunch of impalas, so they look quite relaxed. Maybe this individual that's causing the guinea fowl to be upset is in this gully system. Let's have a look quickly. Now, the guinea fowl is alarm calling right here, looking down into this dip. So maybe that's why, is because there could be a cat lying in here. We know that both Hosana and Tamba enjoy this dip. Here's a whole bunch more guinea fowl. Let's have a look quickly before we send you off to Ali, who's got a beetle. There we go, leopard, we've got a leopard. Right here, it looks like maybe Kuchava. How cool is this? So there's a leopard right here. This is so cool. Well done, guinea fowl. Now, is it Kuchava with her baby, maybe? I don't know, but it's definitely Kuchava. That's who it is. And she's running along, big full belly. So I wonder if maybe there is some sort of carcass here. Or maybe the little cub is around. There she is running down, and you can hear the guinea fowl are going crazy. So she's a little bit kind of nervous, but she's got a big belly on her, and I wonder if her cub is not somewhere in this section. How cool is that? So we managed to find Kuchava here, which is very, very cool. You can hear the guinea fowls are going crazy. She does have a big belly, so I think maybe, just maybe, she's actually got a carcass here somewhere. Now I'm just trying to go slowly because she's a little bit shy, and I'm not surprised. We kind of came upon her quite quickly over the top of this ridge. There's no real other way to see a leopard from here. She's just down below here, VM watching us, so I don't want to stress her too much. I'm going to try and get a situation where we can at least just get a view of her. So VM, can you see her through the bush there? Just some spots, unfortunately, that are through there. There we go. There the spots are. And so she's moving slowly now. The impalas are alarm calling as well. I don't think the impalas can see her, but they are alarm calling at the moment. I wonder if maybe the little cub is here, or another leopard could also be around. But our perseverance in trying to find a leopard is paying off. The problem is where she's going. She's going to go into an area where it's going to be super difficult for us to follow and to be able to keep up with her. And I'm a little nervous of kind of pushing her if the cub is around here, because this is her first cub that she's had. This particular litter will be her first one, and I know that the other day she was very shy and reclusive with that cub and was moving away quite quickly, so I don't really want to stress her out too much, and her kind of behavior already this morning is one of a fairly unrelaxed individual. But let's see. Right, now I'm going to try and get into a position where I can maybe see her a little bit better. We're going to try and have a look from this angle over here and see where she maybe is. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Ali with that beetle.
Well, we have found the dung beetle. It's actually one of the larger ones that I've seen, and it's busy rolling its dung. So we had the ones before that were living underneath the dung, and now we've got the one that's making its home, or, well, not its home, but its potential food source from the bowl. Now, it's a bit tricky to get a bit too close to him, but you can see that he's moving his forearms or his front legs, and they've got almost like a special adaptation, and they've got what looks like a rake, and that helps them in being able to grab the dung all the way up and then just be able to curl it into a bowl. Now, for someone that's so challenged at arts and crafts as I am, anything that manages to make something that's perfectly round is quite an achievement to me, and it's quite something to admire. Now, he seems to be the only dung beetle around, so I reckon he's got his choice of many different areas or many different piles of dung where to use. And then when he's done rolling his ball, then likely he's going to bring it back to the female, and then they can consume some of it, or perhaps they'll decide to actually put this one back under the ground and perhaps lay another egg. Now, I don't want to get my face too close, because also I don't feel like eating dung beetle flies for the morning, as wonderful and natural as it all is. Now, there's another someone that's joined us for the party here, and since I'm going to move, I think you'll be able to get it. It's right here. It's a beautiful caterpillar that's moving around, and I'm not too sure what it could possibly be. Now, it's got a very conspicuous, it's a very hairy one, so I don't really want to go around and touch it, because I reckon that would be quite an irritation. But you see, it's got in the front and in the back, it's got very large, I think, well, they look like antenna almost, but I'm sure that's not the correct word for caterpillars, and it's got the same at the back, probably in an effort to try and confuse potential predators so that they don't know where's the head and actually where's the back. But it's been climbing all around here, and it's so beautiful. Now, I wonder what it's going to turn into. I'm going to guess some sort of moth, but no clue, to be honest. I'm not too sure as to what it could be, but it almost looks like a punk rock caterpillar with all its little spikes on the back of its skin. You are very beautiful indeed. I love it when they walk. It's one of the funniest things, how they have to move the back and then it goes all the way to the front. Beautiful. What colors are you now? You're just of a reddish. I thought there was maybe some blue in there, but no, there's no blue. Keeping it well camouflaged, and you can see if I raise the grass again the way it was roughly, it's very hard to see it. So and I actually only saw it because we stood here and decided to spend some time with the dung beetle, and all of a sudden turned around and realized that we had some more company. Lots of little things flying around, and ants and the caterpillars, and well, the dung beetle still busy at work. Seems like we found quite a hot spot this morning. And obviously, whenever there's big fresh elephant dung, then a lot of creatures are going to be attracted to this area. Reptilian research, it does look like it's quite an itchy one. This is why I don't want to touch it. I am sure that its little hairs, if they come into contact with my skin, then they're going to probably give me a rash, and I don't think it's going to be all that comfortable. So I'd rather keep it where it is. They've got all this protection for a reason, and I would prefer it not using it on me. Oh, that's funny. I wonder if it's maybe some sort of dice moth or something like that it's going to turn into. Seems like Tristan has managed to find Kuchava once more, so let's head back to him and get a view of that very elusive leopard.
Well, we've managed to get ourselves into a great spot. She's come into a bit of shade to rest now, and she's kind of just looking around, and there was a few impalas that were alarm calling. There's a squirrel that's alarm calling at her, and so I think she's gotten into the shade now just to take it a little easy and hopefully to take a bit of a break, and then maybe, just maybe, if we've got any luck whatsoever left in the tank for a last minute little leopard cub. Imagine that if she starts to call and that little leopard cub comes out. She's nice and full though. She's got lots of food in her tummy and lots of milk, which means that she still does have the cub because she's producing a lot of milk and she's got the suckle marks. And we know that there's one cub because one person has actually seen her cub. But this area that we're in is an ideal place for her to have a cub hiding away. It's very thick and deep drainage. It's not easy to find or see leopards in this area, and we just got very lucky that one guinea fowl out of that whole group was making a noise, because there was more guinea fowl there was impalas, and it took one guinea fowl to just make that alarm call to give away her presence. If it wasn't for that, we would never ever have been able to see her. So super cool that we did. And I looked briefly where we first spotted her. I didn't see a carcass, but I think there must be one somewhere. Mia, she does have stunning eyes. She takes after her mom. Her mom is Thandi, and so the two of them are absolutely beautiful individuals, and they look quite similar. They've got a sort of certain look to them, and they both have incredible eyes. But I love Kuchava. She's a very cool leopard, and I'm sure Taylor is going to be bouncing off the walls because Taylor comes back to work this afternoon, and for her favorite leopard to be here is just absolutely insane. So I'm sure Taylor is going to be heading straight to this area this afternoon to try and see if she can see Kuchava, because I know she absolutely loves Kuchava, and hopefully, like I say, she'll call the little baby out, because if the little cub is here, that's just going to be even better. Now you'll hear a lot of chirping in the background, and that's because there's two squirrels that are shouting at poor Kuchava. They're sitting right here, and so you can hear them going absolutely crazy. So they're obviously doing that because they've seen the leopard, and so eventually they'll get tired of it and they'll move off, especially if she lies down and starts to sleep. Then the squirrels leave her alone. But you can see they're quite panicked about this situation at the moment, and so the longer that Kuchava sits there, the more they'll shout at her for now. And as soon as she probably drops her head, then they'll leave her alone and carry on and go somewhere else. The problem for these squirrels is they're a little bit stuck. They can't really actually go too far. There's not really a bridge of trees to get them out of there, so they're going to have to sit tight in those trees for a while this leopard sits quietly. One grand, you're asking if she's not as used to cars as other leopards. So no, it's not that. I mean, she's sitting, at the moment, she's not even 10 meters from me, and you can see she's relaxed now. The thing is with her is that, unfortunately, a lot of her time is spent on her own. She hangs around in areas that are very dense, very thick, difficult for people to get to, and so there's not as much time spent with her as maybe some of the other leopards around here. That, coupled with the fact that it's her first litter that she's just had, and so that's made her very elusive. She's trying to keep this little cub safe, she's trying to hide it, and moms that are their first time moms often are like this. They often are a little bit more shy, and they try and keep their little cubs as hidden as possible, because it's a big event, it's the first time she's getting a little cub, and she's trying to keep it as safe as possible. And if she's anything like her mom, she's probably very good at kind of keeping it safe, and so that's why maybe she's a little bit skittish. The other thing is that, also remember, we came upon her very suddenly, so it's not a situation where normally when you see a leopard, you'll spot it from far, the leopard spots you, and you kind of come together, and that's okay. She's yawning a bit. I think she might get up and move, but in this situation, we kind of came over a rise, and she was right below us, right on top of her, and maybe she just got a little fright that we were there, and that's why, with the alarm calling and us and everything kind of happening, she just trotted off. But now she's absolutely fine. I mean, you can see she's very relaxed. The fact that she's not even looking at us indicates that she doesn't really mind too much a little grooming going on. I don't think she's going to be sitting for too much longer. I think these squirrels are making too much noise, and she's probably not enjoying that very much at all. Michelle, you say she looks like her mom. She does, doesn't she? You can tell it comes from that lineage, and so this is another part of the Kruger lineage, if you can believe it. It's amazing how many leopards in this area that we see that kind of come from the Kruger lineage, but very, very, very special to find her. I haven't seen Kuchava since, well, in a long time, before she even had this little cub, so it's been almost 3 months since I last saw her. And it's funny enough, the last time I saw her was very early in her pregnancy, and she was scent marking a lot on Chitwa, and I kind of thought maybe she might be pregnant at that time, and it turned out that we were right, and I think Noel had a sighting of her with very, very heavy, and then obviously she gave birth, and now she's been seen with that cub once before. But very, very cool leopard. I thoroughly enjoy her, and the fact that she's here on Chitwa is great news for us, because hopefully she's going to bring that cub into this area and we'll get lots and lots of sightings of her going forward. It's very special that she's kind of behind the dam wall, and if she's comfortable enough to sit here, and if the cub is around in these areas, then she's comfortable enough to kind of bring it here. That only bodes well for us as, you know, a interested group of leopard crazy people that like to, you know, see these things and see the little ones, and hopefully means more time with Kuchava. Interestingly, though, I would have thought if she's come up here, it must mean that Tundi is north of us still, in Torchwood. I don't think she would have come here if her mom was around with her cub. I think there would have been a bit of a kind of interaction there, so I'm surprised that she's here. It means that Tundi's definitely must be up near Torchwood side, and that's maybe why we're not seeing any signs of her. But very cool to see her. Either way, like I say, any leopard is awesome, but Kuchava especially, because it's been a while since we've had any time with her whatsoever, and I'm really hoping that she does call out this cub at some point soon. But while we watch her groom herself and just take it very easy, let's send you back across to Byron, who's got, well, a rather large aquatic mammal.
I do, and I cannot believe it. There must be about 7 hippo in Buffelshoek Dam at the moment, and usually it's just 1. They've arrived from nowhere. I don't know where all these hippo came from. But lovely to see so many in the dam. There have been a few Egyptian geese around here too. I did see, I saw a little dab chick earlier, or little grebe, sorry, the new name is little grebe. But look at this hippo, they're just, it's amazing. And often we find hippo tracks, and I was actually commenting on it yesterday, I think, seeing hippo tracks far from the water. And these hippo cover huge distances, maybe just to head to a different water hole or a dam, or from a river to a dam. They'll do that really often. They'll go off and feed at night and then head back to the closest water that they know. Occasionally males will go in search of new females, so they will move from one dam to the other. But generally they are quite territorial, the males, so they will have fights when they are looking for females. But this is just a whole group that's joined in the dam. Very peaceful again here. Those elephant that we had earlier, they moved off with the young calf. Always wonderful to see young animals. And Camille, hippos can keep their eyes open underwater, yes, and they will. I've seen footage of hippo underwater before, and you can see them with their eyes open, running on the bottom of the riverbed or the dam. So yeah, they do indeed keep their eyes open. I'm sure there would probably be a lot of activity from these hippo because they in a new dam. and maybe interacting with one or two hippo they haven't seen before. Dear. Sorry, there was a beautiful bird I wanted to show you, but it just flew off. It was a green-winged petilia. Really, really beautiful bird, but it just flew off, unfortunately. Kalasia, I don't know what the animals perceive the vehicle as. I don't know if they perceive it as another animal or not. I think they perceive this massive object as just something which passes by from time to time, doesn't harm them, doesn't interfere with them, and that they are comfortable with being around. But in terms of another animal, I don't think so. I don't know. How do we tell? I think it's a very tricky question, because I'm not sure. But they definitely recognize it, obviously. They can smell it. Do they associate it with people? Do they know what we look like when we're sitting on the vehicles? I don't know. I think so. I've seen leopards and lions. So before I say that, but people often say, well, just stay in the vehicle, don't worry, the animals just associate or see the shape of the vehicle. Yes, they pick up on the general shape of the vehicle, but I guarantee you they see every individual in the vehicle. I've seen leopards and lions walk past cars and look up at people. Fergs, you've seen it too? 100%. So there's no reason to say that that they do not recognize people on the vehicle. I guarantee you they do. But if you sit still, I think they associate you with the vehicle and they're happy to pass by. When you're standing and you're walking in the bush, you look very different and you stand out a lot more. That's when animals react. Like yesterday, we found those lions on foot, and they reacted very quickly. They ran from us. No sign of aggression. They ran as soon as that gap was opened between us. They relaxed, they calmed down, and Tristan came in and viewed them after we left. So as long as there's a safe distance when you're on foot, they're comfortable. Animals are comfortable. They've got different security zones, I suppose you could call it, where they feel comfortable or threatened or alert. Different warning zones. But yeah, the vehicle's just something which passes by. They're happy that the vehicles don't interfere, doesn't cause them any harm. So there's no reason to react to the vehicle. But that obviously comes with time. I've been in areas where you drive and the animals see a vehicle and they run away. I'm sorry, Faith. I didn't hear that comment. Could you please just repeat it for me? Oh, Fern, you say that, well, the cars don't eat anything. So the animals must like that. Yeah, exactly. It's not like we're hunting impala out here in the vehicles. Or chasing leopards up into a tree trying to steal their kill. No, not at all. So yeah, and again, it's the association with the vehicle. There's no negative association, so the animals tend to get quite comfortable. But like I said, I've been to areas where animals are not used to vehicles and they run from vehicles when they see it. They do not like it. It's something unusual. These animals that are in this area, fortunately, have been around for many, many years. They've seen lots of vehicles passing by and viewing them. Andrew, so with the head of the hippo, or judging if it's male or female by looking at the head, now it is a bit difficult, but generally the head of a male will be much larger. The protrusions on the front of the snout, and if you can see just behind the nostrils, occasionally you might see these large lumps on the snout. That's often the big teeth of the males that fold into the upper jaw. The other thing is the females. The females tend to have pinkish eyelids and skin around the eyes, much pinker, and the eyes and ears compared to the males. The males tend to be a bit darker. So if you look very, very closely, you might be able to tell whether it's male or female from that pinkish coloration above the eye. But it is difficult at times because that's often the view you get. So that looks like a female to me. Looks like pink eyelids. But I'm not sure. I'll just see if I can see one of the others and try to compare. Yeah, I think those are possibly all females. I'm not sure. Maybe the male is this side. Well, Scarlett, the hippos don't sleep underwater, from my understanding. Look, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think they sleep underwater. So, Scarlett, what they do, though, is hippos can stay under for up to about 7 or 8 minutes. I think that's what has been timed for the longest period of a hippo staying underwater. When they sleep or rest, they always keep their heads above water because they need to breathe. So they don't actually fall asleep underwater. They do keep their heads above water, but they can stay under for up to about 7 or 8 minutes. I think that's the longest average recorded. Usually, when they do go down, I think it's around maybe a minute or 2 or 3 minutes is an average length, between 1 and 3 minutes for them to be under, but they can stay under for longer. Well, it's really getting very, very peaceful here. So before I fall asleep, I think, because the temperature's cooled down again, it got nice and warm, but it's cooled down a little bit. Now there's some cloud cover. So it is beautiful. So, like I said before, I doze off because I'm so comfortable there. Let's continue and see what else we can find just before the end of drive. And yeah, almost time for Tristan and Ali to go and leave. But then the rest of the team will be back. Some other presenters. Taylor's back, and I think Scott will be back, and I think Steve will be back too. I haven't met Steve yet. Looking forward to meeting some new people. Alright, well, it sounds like Ali's brushing up on her botany, and she's found a beautiful plant to show you.
Well, we are on a plant to show you. I'm not 100% sure as which plant it could be. Perhaps a guari bush, just thinking about all the plants that are in this particular area. But now, what I wanted to do and why I wanted to stop, and actually almost looks like a tiny little jackalberry even. Now, if you look at this plant, you see that all of the leaves are of a red color. We don't get the 4 seasons here, so it's not a sign that we're coming onto autumn or fall or anything along the lines, or that we're going into winter. But it's actually a self-defense mechanism from the plants. Now, I think a lot of the times we tend to think of trees as these very boring, straight things that don't do anything other than try and somehow get food from the sun and try to reach and grow big, and that's pretty much it. But they're actually, thanks to the new technology that's available to us humans, there are so many studies that are being done that allow us to see just a little bit further into what the trees go through and what they do in order to survive. Because it's not enough just to stand there and be pretty. You've got to do more than that. Now, in terms of new plants, or whenever you'll see that there's a tree that's getting a new branch, you'll see that the leaves are actually of this color. Now, it's very, very soft. And then the first thing that comes to mind, or that is quite obvious, is that it doesn't have any chlorophyll on it. So it doesn't have that green pigment that manages to capture the light. So they actually are exposing other pigments that they've got, namely the red and the orange ones, and they are capturing different different ultraviolet rays and what the chlorophyll actually does. But the main important thing, or the main thing when they look like this, is that they're trying to pretend that it's a burned tree, that the tree is actually dead or dry, as to try and deter all potential predators to come and feed them, thus allowing the tree to grow and have an actual chance of becoming a tree and not just a little tiny shrublet. So as the tree starts going older and it starts consolidating, then you see that at the bottom part, it's already green. So this part is pretty much settled. Now we've got the new part roughly from the middle, and then going up, it's become of a new color. And then with every step, it's going to grow bigger, bigger, and stronger. But the main thing is just for any big creature that might be here, bushbok, nyala, wildebeest, and even elephants, the idea is to appear less appetizing so that they won't want to eat it, and they'll leave it alone, giving it a chance to actually grow, which is very interesting. Now, I've been doing a little bit of research in trees, or somehow I find that this research comes to me, because obviously when you like something, you always see it around. There's a suggestion that with every new plant that is, or with every new shrub that's here, actually its parent plant will be able, through an underground cover or through an underground net that is along the lines of roots and mushrooms, they are able to actually transfer nutrients from the parent to the little ones. So how's that? There's some suggestion as that there might be some sort of parent offspring behavior, or parent sapling behavior in terms of trees. Just giving us an insight that perhaps not everything is just as quiet as it seems, and that there's actually a lot growing and a lot happening just right behind our feet. But because trees don't really make a sound, and they don't move, or they don't do a lot of things as the animals do, then it's a little bit harder and less obvious for us to notice. Now, just in terms of sleep as well, they've done some very interesting studies, and I think they're a little bit more, they're still trying to develop to try and be able to figure out what's exactly going on with the trees. And like I said, this Wi-Fi network, as I like to call it, it's this new thing that's coming out in the tree research, and it's quite interesting because it just shows that they're constantly communicating, constantly helping each other, but also constantly trying to hinder everybody else, and might be a competition for nutrients. Now, I'm going to carry on walking. I think we're going to start making our way back to quarantine, as we are still a little bit far from there. And but while I do that, let's head back to Tristan, who's got a very big predator.
Yes, we do. So we've managed to keep up with Kuchava. She's taken us through some horrible stuff, and I don't even want to know what the front of Rusty looks like at the moment. But it was pretty good that we managed to at least keep up with her up until this point. And now she's in a little drainage section, nice cool sand, and she's having a bit of a grooming session, getting rid of maybe some of the burrs and things that she picked up on the way. We went back to the area where she came from, and we saw that there was no sign of a kill. So I think she maybe was just stalking those impalas until that guinea fowl spotted her, and then obviously our approach made her a little bit more kind of wary of what was going on. But she's now found herself a little spot, and I wouldn't be surprised. This is where she's going to sleep for a large portion of the day. It's a perfect spot for a leopard. It's a deep gully that she's in. There's nice, cool sand that is there, lots of shade, nice and thick, so there's not going to be too many animals that should be able to see her, and she can really spend the time kind of relaxing. She's probably worn out at this stage after months and weeks of looking after a little one. So, she's going to be probably enjoying a bit of a break. She's got a massive, massive tummy on her. You can see she's breathing quite fast. So she's definitely eaten last night, I would say, because that tummy is big. Maybe she was finishing up the last of a kill, and that's why she's left that area. I'm not quite sure. But She definitely has eaten a lot, and that's good because it's going to keep her nice and healthy. And she looks in fantastic condition. She doesn't have too many ticks on her. She's kind of looking as good as mom could look, and so really quite impressed with her. And she's obviously doing quite well so far. If she's still producing milk, she's still got this little one, and considering the amount of male leopards that are around at the moment, she definitely seems to have done quite well. Now, I'm just going to try and go back a little bit just so we can get her face. Now, VM's going to have to tell me because there's another tree on my left side. There we go. Hello, girl. Sorry. You've got your same eyes as your mother when you look at somebody. You have those eyes of, you just stay where you are. I don't want you to come any closer. She has a serious stare on her, just like Tundi does. Tundi's also got this amazing kind of eye that looks at you, and you just know that's where you must stop. Shelly and Ivy, Kuchava is about 4 years old now, so I think about 4 years old. So still a very young leopardess, and a huge prospect for our futures here on Djuma, because she's going to be the next kind of queen that's going to come out of this area. We don't have any other younger females that we are seeing regularly. She's the youngest of the females that we see regularly on the sort of eastern side of our traverse. Obviously, Shadulu is now coming in on the western side, and those are the two kind of future females for this area at the moment. They're the two that are just coming. Well, Shadulu's just coming to her first season of breeding. She's mated, but she hasn't had a cub yet. Kuchava's just had her first one. So, they're both young females that hopefully will set up an area around here. Now, you must remember that if she does set up and she stays in these sections, we have probably at least 8-9 years of Kuchava and Shadulu around if all goes well. So they really are leopards that are going to be a huge part of the story going forward, and that's why it's important that they do well, and important that she has these genes that she's got in the form of her grandmother Kruger and her mother in Tundi that are successful females that will hopefully raise lots of cubs. Tony Two Toes, we don't 100% know who the father of the cub is. It's always very difficult because especially with Kuchava, because she spends a lot of time away from Djuma, and she could easily have mated with Quarantine. But as far as what we saw, she only mated with Tingana. So Tingana theoretically should be the father of that cub. And they mated on Djuma, and we had them all the way deep into Djuma mating, and so theoretically it would be him, but like I say, she might have sneaked in a mating session with Quarantine without us knowing about it, and that maybe means that it could be either one of those two, but definitely not any other leopards besides those two. But she's getting ready for a little nap. I think she's positioned herself perfectly. You can see she's kind of sprawled out now, and she's got herself in the perfect little leopard sleepy spot. If I was a leopard, this is where I would sleep as well. There's not water, not even 50 meters away from where she is. She's got thickets that if prey animals do come here, she's got an opportunity where she can hunt. Also nice and shady, so like I say, good spot that she's chosen, that's for sure. Not good for vehicles. I don't think any vehicle besides these Land Rovers would be able to get even into a position to find her where she is right now. PT Watcher, you're asking how old her cub is. We don't know for sure. Unfortunately, no one's really followed up and tried to kind of really sort of see what's going on and see exactly what's happening with her and her cub. But we think around 2 months. That's where we think her cubs are at that age. Well, her cub is at that age. And so I think, that's where how old they are. But without seeing them, it's also very difficult for for me to know exactly how old they are. But 2 months would be a roughly estimate and about that age. So I would say anywhere between 6 and 9 weeks. That would be my call as to how old those cubs are. So still very small and little thing, and very cute. The one photo that I have seen of it is incredibly cute. So hopefully we will get to see it soon. There's a good opportunity this afternoon. If she's hanging around here, this is an ideal spot for cubs to be raised, and I know that Tundi had a number of cubs in here and used to hide them in here often, and I'm sure Kuchava has a little one often spend time inside here. Interestingly enough, another leopard has just been found, not more than about 800 meters from where we are. So just at Chitwa Dam, there's another leopard that's there. So I don't know who that leopard is. Maybe the male leopard we were tracking all morning that we said might come our way is apparently on the way out. So we might sneak another leopard in before the end of show. We might give Kuchava a little bit of a break and then start heading up towards that individual and just see who it is. And so we can sign off with not one, but two leopards would be quite nice. I'm just curious as to know who it is that's sitting up there. I imagine it's Tingana, but I'm not 100% sure. The person that found it doesn't know the leopards at all, and so it just says that there's a leopard there. I'm not 100% sure which one. Right. Very cool, though, to see Kuchava. Michael, nice to find you. I'm going to just let everybody know on the radio that we're going to be leaving her, because I'm not sure if anybody actually wants to come to her. It's, like I say, in such a difficult section that I don't think any other vehicles will be able to get there at all. Right, now while I leave Kuchava and sort all of this out on the radio, let's send you back across to Byron, who's still just bumbling about.
I am still driving around. We haven't found anything. I'm so happy for Tristan that he managed to see Kuchava, and it's so funny. We were asked about that this morning. James, Richard, I think you asked me when last did we have an update or any sign of Kuchava, and I don't know. And then Tristan found it. So that's it's amazing. Really glad he found that leopard. I don't think I've ever seen Kuchava. Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, so it's a nice little farewell gift for Tristan, I suppose. I'm sure he's very excited about that. Plant cat mama, do all carnivores have an extra reflecting layer in their eyes? Now their eyes, I don't quite understand the makeup of the eye, but I do think they've got, the rods and cones, the makeup of the rods and cones within the eye are very different to that of ours, which helps them with their nocturnal vision. I do think there's additional layers, reflecting layers to help with nocturnal vision too. I don't think it's all carnivores. I think it's mainly the ones like the big cats that are active at night. I don't think wild dogs have it. But I stand to correction, but I don't think so. But yeah, so I'm not sure. I don't know. I have to try read up a bit again of the makeup of a carnivore's eye, but like I said, I think it'll be different. I think it's also different in cheetah, even though cheetah is a big cat. But cheetah are mainly diurnal hunters. Their eyesight is incredible, but they need to have good eyes to see during the day in those harsh grasslands, the open grasslands. So I think their eye makeup will be quite different to that of a leopard or a lion. Gary, you asked if the big cats suffer from worms or internal worms. Gary, I think you know what these wild animals, like any animal, yes, they can pick up worms and that, and they've probably got ways of dealing with it. Again, Gary, I haven't spent much time with vets that have, studied these animals, and I don't know, it's difficult. All the places, like I said, all the places I've worked at, it's been game reserves where we let nature take its course. Not once, I think, we ever called a vet in to look at an animal that's been injured or hurt, because it's nature's way of keeping a natural balance. But as far as I understand, they can contract worms. They can. But I've never seen or spent time with a vet or anything that has shown me exactly what worms they contract. I think Tristan's worked with one or two people that I think have maybe done research on it. I'm not sure. Maybe you can answer that a little bit better for you, Gary. But I don't know. I just know they can contract it. But what and to what extent? I've never heard or seen a leopard dying of worms or anything like that. I think they've got ways of getting them out, probably. I don't know. So that section of road is very bumpy there. Sorry, Fergs. Thank you. Fergs forgives me. Vuyatela Dam with impala and Egyptian geese. It's so funny. Every now and then, these impala randomly jump. I don't know if it's probably the biting flies or something, and leap from one side to another, and they stand still and carry on feeding. Very peaceful here at the moment. Jamie, I've heard of situations where impala have run and jumped into vehicles before. I've never seen it or had it, but I have. I have heard of that happening, and at times what happens, and it's often because people might shine lights in their eyes and they run into the cars. Sorry, I'm laughing because it sounds like Tristan has found another leopard. I don't know, again, which secret society Tristan is part of, but he's found another leopard to end off the show. Goodbye, Tristan and Ali. Have a wonderful leave. Let's go back to Tristan now.
Well, Byron, we have got another leopard. We've got Tingana that is having a little nap right next to the road. In fact, he couldn't be closer to the road if he tried. So I'm not sure these are the same tracks that we even followed. It's a different leopard track that we followed. He's come from the east, and so it's not his tracks that we were following earlier, which means I think that in all likelihood it was probably Tumba's tracks that we were following. Sorry, Tingana. Hello, my boy. Nice to see you. So he's not far from Kuchava, which is very, very good. It's good that he's in this area. Hopefully we'll keep Kuchava nice and safe. And like we say, we know that he mated with her, so he should be no threat to that cub at all, which is very, very cool. Now, unfortunately, though, it is that time of day where we are going to start having to kind of head off. And, well, Ali and I are going to be heading off a very long way. We're going up into Botswana to the Delta and going to go mess around there. And so that should be quite fun. And, well, it's been an epic way to finish a working cycle, that's for sure. To have not only one leopard, but two leopards, and to see Kuchava is a very, very special part of that. So, very cool. I'm thoroughly happy with our morning that's happened so far, and it seems like it's been a great morning for you guys. Lots of amazing things, from elephants to lots of interesting little insects and tracks and all kinds of other things. So it seems as though it had a really good morning for all involved. I think VM and I are as happy as we could be because, well, like I say, two leopards for us is a heaven. Anyway, from myself and Ali and Byron and all the cam-ups and Faith in FC, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you all this on the Sunday.